Welcome to AZPM News Daily, a wrap-up of all the day's news from Arizona Public Media. I'm Steve Jess. Coming up on this Monday, Arizona reaction to the ruling on mail-in voting.
Guess what? There is an injunction in the League of Women Voters case.
2 Phoenix police faced justice for a phony traffic stop.
They use extreme and unjustified violence against these victims.
And we talked to one of the founders of Wall Watch.
We thought of this idea for communities up and down the border to have more of a real-time look at what is actually happening.
That's ahead on this Monday, August 24th, 2026. Starting us off for this week, Arizona's Secretary of State, Adrian Fontes, reacted to the Supreme Court's latest ruling on mail-in ballots with a simple message: nothing has changed. The court overturned a lower court's ruling that blocked President Donald Trump's executive order intended to cut back on voting by mail. In a video on social media, Fontes says the decision doesn't change Arizona's election process, at least for now.
While this rule acknowledges the new United States Postal Service rules that came from the executive order, then says they should go forward, the rules themselves say if there's an injunction against them, that they don't go forward. And guess what? There is an injunction in the League of Women Voters case.
Fontes adds that more court action could occur before the November election. He urged voters to be cautious about misinformation or speculation, saying voting by mail has been eliminated. Anyone can check their voting status at the website arizona.vote. 2 now former Phoenix police officers are facing multiple charges after allegedly conducting a violent, off-the-books traffic stop. As Jill Ryan reports from Phoenix, the police union representing the officers says it supports their firing.
The Phoenix Law Enforcement Association response comes after an arraignment over the weekend of former officers Luis Vasquez Jr. and Antonio Felix. In a court video obtained by ABC 15, prosecutor Tom Van Dorn says the defendants used their authority as police officers to cause harm to the victims.
These offenses were committed by on-duty police officers in a fully marked Phoenix Police Tahoe, using the indicia of their lawful authority to effect an unlawful detention with no lawful basis, according to the investigators. They use extreme and unjustified violence against these victims.
According to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Vasquez is now out on bond release. Felix remains in custody. Jill Ryan, Phoenix.
Mexico is demanding answers about its citizens who've died under U.S. immigration crackdowns. As Nina Kravinsky reports, the Consulate General of Mexico in Phoenix says Mexico's foreign ministry has filed 20 complaints with prosecutors' offices in the United States.
Mexico says 17 of its citizens have died in the United States across 8 states during immigration enforcement action or while under ICE custody since the start of President Trump's second term. Mexico says 8 of those complaints were filed with state prosecutors' offices and 12 with federal prosecutors' offices. The complaints ask for clarity around the circumstances of each death and for corresponding responsibility to be determined under applicable law. In addition to those requests, Mexico has brought the issue of deaths of its citizens to international bodies, including the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. Nina Kravinsky, Hermosillo.
A rights group reports an uptick in immigrants being deported from the U.S. to a country other than their own. Human Rights First says during one 24-hour period this month it tracked several third-country removal flights, including one to Liberia, marking the first time the U.S. has sent people from other countries to the African nation. Savi Arvi with Human Rights First says many on board had been granted withholding of removal orders by a judge in the U.S. That's a form of protection that prevents someone from being sent to their home country. As the Arizona Daily Star reported, an Arizona man originally from Egypt is among several who have been sent to Equatorial Guinea, where they say they're being held in a decommissioned hotel and subject to abuse by armed guards. Central Tucson is packed once again as University of Arizona students head back to campus. Noor Hagigi caught up with a few Wildcats on their first day of class.
It turns out that students at the University of Arizona have quite a few things in common. They're aiming to get good grades and are appreciative of their parents' support.
One goal for this semester is to keep my GPA high as possible.
Have just good grades and have fun, I guess.
Definitely just get through my classes, meet a lot of new people.
But this first day is unlike others in the last few years. Enrollment is projected to be significantly lower with the UA's new enrollment management strategy in place. The UA has said it's prioritizing retention, accepting more students who are from Arizona and who have higher GPAs. Still, whether they're freshmen or seniors, Wildcats are excited to start this new chapter.
Bear down, go Cats!
Noor Hegigi, AZPM News.
A study by ASU professors shows large-scale data center campuses emit several times more waste heat than the city of Phoenix. David Saylor, the study's lead author, says his team is beginning to use this data to create lifelike models that can help local governments study the outcomes of different design requirements.
What if there were a mandatory setback between the facility and a neighborhood, or if you included green and blue infrastructure at the facility scale itself? Can you produce cooling downwind that offsets the heating from the data center?
Saylor's research shows irrigated parks, especially those with water features, help offset some warming from data centers along certain paths. But using this as a solution has trade-offs in drought-stricken Arizona. Arizona Public Media is partnering with the nonprofit digital newsroom Tucson Spotlight to host In Our Words Brave, an event that is the first of its kind for the region. L.M. Boyd has more on the storytelling showcase that highlights the intellectual and developmental disabilities community.
This Saturday, the public will have the chance to hear from 4 storytellers in the IDD community. Each of them will share about a moment in their lives that evokes the event's theme, which is brave.
Hello, my name is Iris, and today I am going to talk to you about something that happened to me that was very special last year.
That was Iris LaBelle, one of the storytellers, talking about the time she applied for a job. After the stories are presented, she'll join the other storytellers on stage at the Baker Center for a Q&A panel. To hear more about how LaBelle's job interview went, you can register to attend at azpm.org/brave. Doors open at 2 p.m. for an art exhibit in the Baker Center lobby. The storytelling event begins at 2:30. L.M. Boyd, AZPM News.
A new online mapping tool called Wall Watch aims to document wall construction and other federal projects along the U.S.-Mexico border. The project's creators are asking border area residents to submit their own photos of what's happening in their neighborhoods and backyards. Angela Gervasi caught up with one of the people behind the initiative.
I'm Melissa Del Bosque. I'm the co-founder and executive director of the Border Chronicle, and I'm based here in Tucson, Arizona.
Where did the idea for this project come from?
So as the only, independent region-wide publication covering the border, we started getting calls up and down the border, and we've been getting them for the last several months, all the way from California to Texas, about border wall construction happening in different communities. And what residents were telling us is that they were getting no information from the federal government about what their plans were. So we thought of this idea, Wall Watch, as a way for communities up and down the border to have more of a real-time look at what is actually happening.
When you guys started getting these calls from residents, what were these calls like? Were they frustrated? Were they confused?
Oh, yeah. I mean, people are angry. People are frustrated. People are depressed. They were seeing surveyors. They were seeing private contractors in their backyards, in their communities doing things. And they were completely in the dark about what was happening. So there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of concern.
If I were looking at Wall Watch and I had never seen it before, how would you explain how somebody could use this to document what's happening?
Yeah, so Wall Watch is a web-based app. It's at wallwatch.borderchronicle.com. And what you can do is you can go to that link and you can submit a community report yourself. And it's very easy to do. You can upload up to 5 photographs and you can write a description of what you're seeing. That will go to our administrator, who is Dugenmeyer. He's a very talented geographer and data analyst. And so he will verify it. And then if it's good to go, he'll post it on the Wall Watch map, which is an interactive map. We also have other data layers on the map so that you can see like surveillance technology. Where are the surveillance towers? Where are the facial recognition, license plate readers, and all of that?
I want to hear a little bit more about like the local crowdsourcing aspect of this. Like, what's the importance of engaging the community and having them sort of be the eyes on the ground in this project?
Well, so much of the border narrative is dictated by people who don't live at the border. It comes from Washington, D.C., it comes from other places. Writing about the border, talking to people in border communities, they always say the way that politicians talk about us in Washington, D.C. does not reflect our reality on the ground. So this is an opportunity for border residents to build that reality on the ground and to show the rest of the country, like, look, this is what's happening in my backyard. Here are the photographs to prove it. Here is the geolocation. This is really happening.
Melissa Del Bosque is co-founder of the Border Chronicle, the Tucson-based independent news outlet that launched Wall Watch earlier this month. You can explore the tool and submit your own entries by heading to our story on the project at news.azpm.org. And now you're caught up on the stories we've covered today at Arizona Public Media. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to AZPM News Daily wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Steve Jess, and we'll be back tomorrow.